We are back here shifting focus a little bit on the OG, as I see there's a lot of videos out there, claiming the death of MLS because Messi and Inter Miami got sent home in the MLS Cup Playoffs, and now the dream final is LAFC got knocked out, my club, and everything is lost in this league. Give it its last rites. Okay, maybe that's a little too extreme, but it's generally been pretty negative. In addition to the constant moaning about the playoff format, by and large because of the international date, and to a smaller degree, the best of three round of one series, which is not perfect, I'll be the first to say it. I understand why it's there, the best of three, to protect the higher seeds, which it didn't do when we saw the top three seeds in the East get knocked out. So, there might be some tinkering with that in the future. And if you talk to players, and I talk to a lot of them, they're not crazy about that format either. Nothing you can do about the international break. But if you want to pack everything into the season before that international break and finish it in November the 5th, which I don't want, I don't think a lot of people want, let this season go on a little longer. Why not? Spread out the real estate a little bit. Then you've got to honor that international break. It's not perfect, but everywhere in the world has to break for the international week. And, we don't skip a beat when we're watching Champions League or the Premier League or the Serie A. We just pick up where we left off. Granted, it's a little different for the playoffs. So, we have had a lot of that. But if you stop and look at what's happening, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. You talk to people and, there has been a long list of famous victories. Am I screaming? There's been a long list of famous victories, club-defining victories in this MLS Cup Playoffs. Atlanta United upsetting Inter Miami, getting that return to perhaps greatness, setting a pathway to the return to the very lofty standards they set. Orlando City into their first conference final. The resurgent Red Bulls, who've never won MLS Cup. They're a couple wins away. Not that they're going to, but no one expected them to make it here. Minnesota United making the conference semifinals, having their biggest home game in order to make it there. Sounders getting to the Western Final unexpectedly. And then the LA Galaxy. We'll talk about all of that and why the MLS Cup Playoffs, it is what it is first and foremost, but you can see the growth across the board, and it's pretty exciting. And if everyone can be patient about it and we can work on getting this to reach higher platforms, then the league is on a good course. We'll check all of that here on the Soccer OG. Like and subscribe is here. Hit that like button, smash it if you will. Hit it really hard. We appreciate everyone who's joined us here on the OG, and we try to keep it fresh with American soccer themes, and we're going to get into MLS. So, I want to talk about the format because people are like, oh, God, the dream final is gone. When has MLS Cup Playoffs ever gone to form? I think it was 2022 where the seed in the West and the top seed in the East made the final. 2019 or 2018 with Seattle or Toronto, one of those years it happened, and it happened in the early 90s. Every other year, it's crazy. 2 seeds, 3 seeds, 4 seeds, 6 seeds all seem to make a charge. That is the nature of the MLS Cup Playoffs. And what makes things different about this league, which, you embrace. Maybe we should be similar in a lot of ways, but I like to think when I look at this MLS Cup Playoffs that any team can run this gauntlet with the best of three, with the international date. If any team can win this trophy, they are pretty legit, They have done something special to be able to navigate their way through. So we should respect that. And the final 4 teams, one of them is going to win it. They deserve that. So the unpredictability is when people think or say that Don Garber is in tears in his office going, hey, we didn't get into Miami. He's not. He knows what's up. Everyone involved with MLS knows what's up. No one is naive enough to say, okay, just lock in the Inter Miami LAFC final. We all knew deep down inside it was unlikely. This was the first playoff run for Inter Miami, so that is all part of it. And this should not be a surprise. But what happens in 2024 could make this league all the much better. And I'll start with what is a remarkable development, because for so long, coaches would stay several years. And you do have a guy like Peter Vermees who's there forever and doesn't lose his job. But we've always said that there's no pressure in MLS. Well, I believe we now have 10 teams looking for new coaches or having a coaching replacement of some kind. There were 8, and then now you add Inter Miami, Tata Martino out, and then the Vancouver Whitecaps have parted way with Vanni Sartini. Vanni Sartini got his team into the playoffs, almost into the conference semis. He did well. Maybe there's another reason they're parting ways. I don't know. But results was okay. You in MLS Pass, what Vanni Sartini did keeps you gainfully employed. Not anymore. Tata Martino, we're going to start getting some details about why he is no longer in charge. He says it was for health reasons, but I can't imagine what is happening behind closed doors for Inter Miami. When I saw they got knocked out, I thought to myself, all right, Messi's thinking, we have a small window to do this. Maybe we should make a change. Don't quote me on that, but there was some Inter Miami's serious business. I wouldn't want to be in that room. It'd be nerve-wracking because of the amount of money they're investing with this breakthrough new stadium coming through. This is a high-stakes, high-pressure situation. And maybe Tata Martino thought about that and goes, no. And maybe someone else went, okay. Enter Javier Masno. Philadelphia Union, people thought Jim Curtin was going to be there forever. He is out. They didn't make the playoffs. But in years past, for a guy who's built so much equity, for instance, like Greg Vanny, who is still with the Galaxy because he built that equity with Toronto, he would keep his job. He didn't. So you're telling me that this is a cush job for coaches and they could stick around for 10 years? No. Nope. That's not the case. This is high pressure, and we're seeing it with all these clubs as well. No one's just sitting on their hands. I have covered this league from almost the beginning. I've never seen this from top to bottom where everyone is making a push. Just look at the San Jose Earthquakes, bringing in Bruce Arena. That's a pretty big hire for arguably the worst team in MLS. They don't want to be set adrift. The other teams at the bottom, Nashville, New England, I guarantee you they're not going to sit here, or the Colorado Rapids last year. They're not going to sit here and just get pushed around. They don't want to be set adrift from the rest of the league. The middle's getting better. Everyone is getting serious with the coaching hires, and I'll get to the player signings here in a little bit. But everything that's happened in the 2024 playoffs is setting the table for a big 2025 and 2026. With the case of Inter Miami, Filipe, the New York Times, I believe, reporting that it looks like he is going to stay with the club another year, 2026. So 2 more years. It's a long time for Inter Miami to lean into the Messi phenomenon, especially as it gets closer to the World Cup, where it will grow. After that World Cup, it will drop. My guess is Messi will call it a career at the end of 2026 or at the end of 2027. So you have a lot there. So this was almost kind of a blessing that Inter Miami, what are they going to look like? It's going to be different. They're going to have to build a team that can finish the job. And remember, there's nothing like the MLS Cup. And don't tell me that players from outside North America don't get hyped up for playoffs. We have seen the emotion of these guys overboard. They dig it. They dig the idea of these playoffs and how it's a challenge that's unique that they have to try and overcome that very few have. So Inter Miami is going to be insane. Other teams that have, Atlanta United have 2 DPs and an under 22. They're going to be active. They're going to probably hire a high-profile coach. Philadelphia as well. So we've seen some coaches already come in. Javier Mascherano I don't think he's going to do great, but that's an amazing hire. That's one of the greatest players ever to play. Yes, Javier Mascherano, the player who tore his anus in the 2014 World Cup to help Argentina move forward. One of the great number 6s in the history of the game. He was the best player at that World Cup, and now he's coming here. This is one of the best at his position coming to North America to help players develop or what have you. And we've seen Inter Miami starting to develop young players, and it's going very well. St. Louis appointed Olaf Mellberg. Olaf Mellberg, he was at a small Swedish club, but Olaf Mellberg, there's an argument to be the greatest Swedish defender of all time. He's bringing his know-how to MLS. International coaches in general are looking at MLS because maybe some doors are closed elsewhere. The English manager, Dean Smith, Nick Cushing, the Minnesota I forgot his name. All English or British managers that may not be getting an opportunity in the Premier League, and they want to come here And that's all coming into the MLS know-how. And I want to give the American coaches and managers their fair shake. We need to develop that. We don't want what's happening in England to happen in the U.S. But this is some high-profile names. I don't know if they're going to be great coaches. I think Atlanta United's probably going to hire a big, high-profile coach. So the coaching situation, this again didn't happen. More know-how, more interest because they see the league is viable and exciting. So we will see how that goes. Bruce from Mascherano to Bruce Arena, very exciting stuff. The player situation. Although, actually, let me talk about the fans. And look, working for Apple TV, I am abundantly aware that people aren't tuning in over the airwaves on the streaming service. It's just not there. That's going to be a slow burn. We hope it can get better. But the reason I'm confident it will, whether it's with Apple or who knows what, is because everything else, every other metric is improving. So eventually, while it won't be the NFL, it will get better. And I think there'll be more interest for people to get on their streaming service and tune in to Apple TV. I have faith in the folks at Apple that they will come up with a plan to get more eyeballs. Because when those eyeballs get set, they'll see an attractive league that worldwide that I think can, again, get a lot more interest. The reason I say that too is because what's happening at the gate. And what I saw in these playoffs, stunning. Every building is full. Every building is full. Just in the conference semifinals, 25,000 at Citi Field for New York City FC and the Red Bulls. It was an incredible atmosphere. LAFC, Seattle, a sellout, although, LAFC wasn't their season. But if you go back, Minnesota filled their park. When Atlanta played Miami, 68,000 were there. Granted, Messi was playing. Did you see what happened at the Galaxy game? That's a 27,000 seat stadium. It was packed to the rafters to see what looks to be the most exciting team. Orlando City, easy sellout, 25,000 seats for their game. People are coming to watch. Big swaths of traveling supporters everywhere. Saw that with the Red Bulls. Short trip, I know. Saw that with Atlanta United. I just say it because I've seen how it was 5-10 years ago, and this didn't happen. Not every park was full. Traveling supporters, minuscule. Different story now. So, coaching, fans, ambition for 2025. Let's talk about the players. And I'm going to use a couple examples to get people excited because this offseason will be, without question, the biggest in MLS history because so many teams are looking to make that push because of the new coaches, everything. FC Cincinnati already broke a transfer record. Was it like $15 million to bring in Kevin Denke, Togolese striker, who scored 27 goals in the Belgian First Division. That's a target for many top leagues in Spain or Germany or England. But he's coming to MLS, as FC Cincinnati wasted no time to bring in that player. And the quality of player is getting better across the board. And the other example I want to use is Gabriel Pele, who was phenomenal with the Galaxy, and he has been so all season. He is a 23-year-old Brazilian winger. Brazilians in general never came to MLS. They go to Europe, or they'd stay in Brazil before making that move for the big money. Gabriel Pele is the first superstar Brazilian we have had here, and it's working out great. And he looks happy, and he is drawing eyeballs, not just from European clubs, but from the Brazilian national team. I have on good sources that imagine an MLS player getting a call-up to the Brazilian national team. We never got Brazilian players. We would get players from Colombia and Venezuela and Uruguay, but a Brazilian player, unheard of. They were too expensive. Gabriel Pele is showing that path to have a desirable career here, make great money, and then if you want to go to Europe, you can do it. Game changer. So there's a lot of good stuff here in these MLS Cup playoffs. So don't listen to people saying it's a disaster. It isn't. And you know how I know people aren't listening? Because I'm seeing what's happening inside those venues. And I would imagine, to a lesser degree, tuning in on the streaming services of Apple TV. That will get there. That will be the last shoe to drop in MLS success. But this is not a time to get down. There's too much going on. And I just listed it all out to say that MLS has something good brewing. We'll see. Maybe it falls flat in a year, but not now. Not now. And teams are saying that their intentions are real, and more teams are looking to get back on that level as well. But Gabriel Pele, remember that. That's the game changer. There'll be more big Brazilian stars coming here. All the other South American countries know it. This is a great place to come. The Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast if you have a moment. Like and subscribe is here. We'll be back with more great videos and more great conversations. Leave a comment. I'll be sure to respond.